real quick, before the video gets going, I just want to let everybody know we kept things spoiler free. The only footage we are showing is from the trailers, and there might be a few like out of context spoilers or like music track spoilers, but other than that, everything you're gonna see here is spoiler free, so don't worry. Hey, what's up everybody? Bro Trio here, and we are finally getting to our top 10 games of 2023. Now, before we get into this list, I want to break it down for y'all just how we do our list. Like, we do it, we talk about it a lot, but just to clarify, I make a list of 15 items, Aaron makes a list of 15 items, Scotty makes a list of 15 items. Then we rank those individually. The higher the ranking, the more points it gets. And then we tally up all the points, and that's how we figure out who's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So that being said, it is an average of all of our lists. So this one gets a little wonky because
we played a lot of different games from each other.
Yeah, we really did.
We only have overlap in like 4 of them, and only all 3 of us overlap in one.
Yeah.
One of them, and that's because it's spoilers. It's Super Mario Wonder, because it's multiplayer. But
oh no, we overlap in 2 then. We all played 2 of them.
Okay. But hold on. This was a hard list to make. It was. I mean, everybody said it to death already. You know. It's been a banger year for games. Like, it's the new, like, makes you really feel like Spider-Man phrase of this year. Like,
oh yeah,
there was a lot of it, and there were a lot of great quality games to the point where, like, it was hard to do. Like, I actively chose not to complete some games in order to play other games. Like that, and that's weird.
Oh yeah, like I did the same thing. Like once it hit about November, I was just like, okay, go through my backlog, what games came out this year, and then I focused on those.
Yeah. There was so much, and then all of them were very hype for the most part, too. So you could get caught up in that, and then it was a lot to deal with games-wise, it's always good to have too many games to play.
Yeah.
And we're going to kick things off with a trick, because Final Fantasy 16 is our number 11. And that's right, it's a top 11, not a top 10. So,
cheated.
Okay. Backstory. I have been playing Final Fantasy 16 since launch. And, okay, so Final Fantasy 16 has some pacing issues. That's its biggest deficit. And at the time of making this list, I had not beaten it. By the time we're filming this list, I have now beaten it, and that's when it gets like crazy, stupid good. So I just had to have it on here. So yes, I cheated, and ultimately, Final Fantasy 16 is a great game. I'm gonna be doing a whole powwow on it later, so stay tuned for that. But overall, fantastic action. Fantastic music, a pretty good plot. Like, it gets kind of like caught up in too much of the human political side for my liking, but once it gets into fantasy stuff, that's when it gets really, really good. And some of the most crazy action set pieces I have ever seen in video games. So we're going to give this the award for most bombastic, because every year we give all the top 10 games an award, and nothing fits most bombastic quite like towering kaiju summons beating the shit out of each other.
Before I fully dive into number 10, one more disclaimer. None of us played Alan Wake 2. That's the main big game I think probably missing from this list that a lot of lists will have, but none of us played it, so it's not here. What is really starting off the list, not Daniel's Under the Wire, Final Fantasy 16.
It's on your list.
You wrote it!
That's irrelevant.
Coming in at number 10, is an early one from this year. It came out like March or something. I don't remember, but it's Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Now, this one kind of came and went more than Jedi Fallen Order did. Because
I honestly forgot it came out this year.
Yeah, people talked about it for like a week, but then also Tears of the Kingdom came out like 2
weeks.
We
literally filmed the powwow for it like the night Tears of the Kingdom was launching. Like I remember that. Like it was so hard to edit.
It was down to the wire because I was just like right there, right on the cusp, and that's when we filmed it. But Jedi Survivor is an awesome game. If you liked Fallen Order, pretty much you'll like this one. It took what Fallen Order did and did it a little better, as a good sequel should. The story's cool. The combat got improved. You have a friggin' blaster now, so Jedi with a gun. That's really cool. But the story took it places I didn't expect, and that's why we're giving it the biggest plot twist award for Jedi Survivor, because there was some stuff that some stuff I saw coming, but some stuff I really didn't see coming at all. And to me, that's a good plot twist. It was like, oh, I should have seen that coming. It was so freaking obvious, but it wasn't. So, big plot twist. But if you like Star Wars, or if you just like really good combat with a pretty cool story, I keep calling it Fallen Order. Jedi Survivor is the game for you. It's more open than the first one. But not like open world or anything, but more open than the first one, and all your favorites are back, Greasy and Money and everything.
Coming in at number 9 is a really cool indie that I really didn't hear very many people talk about. That's why we're giving it the Sleeper Hit Award. It's Gravity Circuit. You can describe it really simply. It's Mega Man, but you're punching.
And you look like the Shredder. Yeah.
It's got an interesting, 8-bit type style where I can't think of anything else that's done this, but, all the character designs are almost monochromatic because, one person's, various shades of purple, the other one's various shades of red and pink.
It's like Tron.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it does look... it has a signature look. I just didn't think of that being what it was. I didn't think about it like that. I was trying to think of a cool name. I was gonna say Punchiest Combat or something like that, but Sleeper Hit just works better. That game had some of the most interesting combat I've ever experienced in a platformer, because it's full on customizable. Your super moves you can do Shoryuken. You have a pile driver that you can do.
Yeah, that one's the coolest. It's not only just punching, but it's wrestling stuff too.
Yeah, and you've got it is a little bit more than punching, because you also have a grappling hook that you can use for maneuverability, and you can hurt enemies with it. One of my favorite things was an enemy that was holding a shield. If you hit them enough to knock the shield off, it flies up and around behind you. If you turn around and hit it with the grappling hook, you pull the shield up, equip it, and then throw it at them.
Oh.
So you end up killing them with their own shield, and it's satisfying every time. And add into that some really cool and interesting boss fights. And, it's very clearly based on Mega Man Zero, and it does not try to hide that fact. But that's great, because not enough games are based on Mega Man Zero, so I loved it so much.
Speaking of games we have loved so much, I loved Pikmin 4. I know in the powwow I sounded semi-negative, but ultimately I loved it. It was, from start to finish, it was fun and very whimsical, so we're giving it the most whimsical award, because you're just having a good time in it. It's so chill and calming, even though you're murdering all these creatures. They're murdering hundreds of Pikmin, and then you can send your dog after them to not only murder them, but eat them whole, and then go back to the ship and throw them up so it turns into more Pikmin.
Yeah, you just gotta add to the horde, regardless. That's Pikmin. It's awesome.
It's not without its flaws. I don't think it's quite my favorite in the franchise, but it does have some good stuff. Like, caves are back from Pikmin 2, and they are way better this time. They're not really like, procedurally generated at all. Like, it's like they took the time to craft each and every one of these, and they are awesome. The post game gets like crazy challenging. That's where it really kicks off, because you get a side mode I wasn't expecting, several more caves to dive into, and rewards for all of them, and it's great. Like, it's one of the best post games I've ever played. And I mean, you could argue they just rolled credits too soon, but ultimately Pikmin 4 is just like a crazy amount of content for what you're getting into. If you have, like, I think I clocked in like 60 hours, which is wild for a Pikmin game.
Yeah, that's enormous.
But I would definitely highly recommend Pikmin 4. And Pikmin 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Let's just get Hey Pikmin on Switch so we can have the whole collection. Come on, Nintendo.
Number 7.
We didn't play it, man.
Number 7.
I downloaded it, to be fair.
Well, okay. I'm over it now. Balers Gate 3 coming in at number 7. This game blew me out of the water. I don't like turn-based games. I just don't. I think for the most part, it's an archaic thing from the past that we need to just let die. But when a game does turn-based well, it's so much fun. That's why I love the Mario RPGs, because it's not just like, oh, I hit attack and that's what happens. Like, it's actively you doing stuff. It's like, there are multiple turn-based RPGs that I really love, but Balers Gate 3 is like the case to, like, for most of them, where they have to do something special, and Balers Gate 3 did. It's not just a turn-based RPG. They're like, you have to worry about your placement, and it's like not necessarily a strategy game, but it's it's more strategic than just like your 3 or 4 characters standing in a line and choosing what enemy to attack. Like, you have to, it's Dungeons and Dragons the game, and I love Dungeons and Dragons, and that's why it works so well for me, because that system translated way better into a video game than I thought possible. And Balers Gate 3 pulled it off, and it did it while having a really good story, great character customization, fantastic party members, and overall, just a super solid experience. And it dipped a little in Act 3 that I go into in a powwow that'll come out one of these days. But other than like minor gripes, this game it's just incredible. It's an absolute achievement, and I cannot wait to see what Larian does next. And it's the best RPG award. I forgot to say it.
Wake the dog up. It's time to talk about Armored Core 6, The Fires of Rubicon.
That's the coolest title.
Coolest title. Like, that could have easily been the award we gave it. It's just awesome title.
Well, that's what, I mean, it's just cool the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. Everything's
Anytime
cool.
they say Rubicon, like, you're just like, that is a cool word. Like, it's... And then they're just like, the coral is rising. You need to... It's gonna evaporate, and then it combusts, and then Handler Walter's got his deep-ass voice, and they're all saying shit and call signs. It's so awesome. But
the fires of Ibis are upon us, or whatever the like, it's so cool.
But the best part about Armored Core 6 is the combat. So, we're giving it the best combat award, because no other game...
I mean, that's the game.
This year, really, like, nothing compares combat-wise. Like,
you build your badass mech and you do badass stuff. That's the game.
You can get very intricate with your mech. I don't think it's quite as intricate as it has been in the past. Like, it's a lot more, like, user-friendly, for sure, than the last one I played, which was Armored Core 3. But Armored Core 6, it was way out of left field. Like, no one thought it was coming out, and then they showed the reveal trailer, and they're like, yeah, it's coming out in like 4 months.
Oh, and we named it The Fires of Rubicon. It's the coolest subtitle.
It did not disappoint. I mean, it's not like you won't be enthralled with the story, because there's like none, But
that ain't what it's about, Chief.
what is there is great combat, and that never gets boring because the second it starts to get stale, you're just like, I got my tank legs, I can just roll through everything. One, you're on a power trip, so that doesn't get stale. And then two, in comes like the sea star that's just like, hey, bitch, I don't like tank legs, and I can kill you instantly.
Yeah, that
So
thing
then
fucked me up.
you got to switch to like goat legs or spider legs. Like it was really cool how they almost tailor-made certain bosses to combat legs like that. So you had to change up your build, and you can do it right from the deck, which is really cool that you don't just have to either trudge through the mission or start all the way over. Like you can just swap as you go.
Download other people's loadouts too. It's phenomenal. If you don't feel like building, just go download a loadout.
Yeah. It's Armored Core 6 was a fantastic game. I really hope they do like some substantial DLC, or Armored Core 7 does not take an eternity to come out. Hey, it's me again, talking about the next game that came out for my playthrough this year. We went from August to, I think, late August with Sea of Stars. This was a game that was on my radar for a while. With the second Sabotage announced, hey, we're making a Messenger prequel, and it's going to be a turn-based RPG. I was there for it, and it seemed like it was forever until it came out.
But, yeah, I want to play it as much as I don't like turn-based on.
Yeah, well, because it's like you said, it's Mario RPG style turn-based where you hit A at the right time, you do an extra attack, you do some extra boost, you can dodge, defend, and stuff like that.
And see, because for the most part, turn-based stuff is like, leave it in the 8-bit era. Like, for the most part. But this one, this looks cool. I played the demo, it's fun as shit.
It's super fun. It's not like the most RPG ever. Like, there's no elements or anything like that. Like, well, status effects, I should say. But what is there is amazing gameplay, fantastic, just like blow your load, eyeballs, like, I don't know what I was saying there, but the
blow your load eyeballs.
The visual style, like the pixel art, is phenomenal. Like, I don't even know if it is pixel art. It's just like hand-drawn, pixelated. It's like a step beyond, but not. It's so weird, but awesome. Just looking at it, you're just like, holy shit, this 16-bit looking game has reflections in the water? Like, that's out of this world. But the award we're giving it, because I still jam to this daily, is Best Soundtrack, because The Messenger had a fantastic soundtrack, and Rainbow Dragon Eye is back again to give us Sea of Stars soundtrack, and it is every bit as good as you would think. It doesn't disappoint. We even get some remixed Messenger tracks in there, which is great to listen to, and I could go on, but I've already done it in a powwow. So if you want to hear me gush for an hour about Sea of Stars, go watch that powwow. It is awesome. You won't regret it.
We mentioned it earlier in this list, but Mario Wonder was really, really good. It was like the fact that all three of us could play it at the same time added to that, but it would have been good in single player too.
Right.
It was some of the most inventive and like challenging platforming I've had in a long time.
I would argue it might be better in single player, but not as stupid.
It probably would, because
it wouldn't be as fun.
You won't be using up each other's lives in single player, but my god, some of those, like, I forgot what they're called, the weird flowers?
The Wonder Flowers?
Wonder Flowers,
Wonder Seed?
Wonder Seed. Some of those do some crazy stuff, like it just flips the perspective. You're walking on the background now. Sometimes you
turn into like a top-down like shooter, like
you turn into enemies. It's absolutely crazy. You can tell they pretty much just got a dartboard, had everybody on the team come up with an idea, and we're just like, that's a level, that's a level, that's a level. Let's go.
The fact that every single level does it is insane.
Yeah. And there's not really too much overlap. Like, we've had like maybe a few instances of overlap. Like, Just it's another Stampede, but I mean it's different this time around. Like it's a different Stampede.
Oh man,
But also the badges really elevate this game.
I forgot about those.
A whole other degree.
I mean, there's not a whole lot better than the cap.
Yeah, the glide cap is awesome.
Is fantastic.
Like the little whip vine is so fun, but it's not practical or good as ooh,
the hat's too good.
But I really liked some of the ones that just tweak the gameplay a little bit, like the one that you can get the Mario 2 jumps.
Yeah,
where you
that one's pretty cool.
Hold down to charge it, and then you jump higher.
And then the final one or one of the final ones that you get the little spin from Mario Galaxy.
Yeah,
that kind of shit. It's so cool.
And that's why we're giving it the best platformer award, because it really stepped things up a notch from what we've seen before. And speaking of stepping things up a notch, Octopath Traveler 2. Holy shit. We're giving it the most improved award because it's very similar to the previous game, but it stepped every aspect of it up to a greater level.
Yeah, so this year was not only a great year for gaming, but there was like half of them were direct sequels, it seemed. So you were getting a lot of like that dumbass argument on the internet that they're just like, oh yeah, it's the same thing but slightly better. And like, yeah, no shit, that's a sequel.
Yeah.
But
do you want them to turn it into a different genre?
Yeah, what is that?
Like
stupid. But
I would appreciate it if they were more different classes.
Yeah,
the optional ones were cool, but it was weird that they were all the same classes as the first game. But
dancer, cleric, thief, everything.
They did not feel like the characters from the first game, though. They felt very unique. Everybody was well written. I didn't have a single character that I didn't like.
Yeah, I liked all the characters this time. It was weird.
Yeah, and all the bosses were cool. Like
even that dog you fight is Particio. You just fight a straight up bulldog, and you're just like that dog has to get put down.
No.
Put the dog down.
The best is clearly when he fist fights a train.
Yeah, obviously. Fist fighting
yeah, the bosses were just really cool and interesting, and of course, like the Octopath style where they're like way bigger and more detailed than you, so it's just really fun to look at while you're fighting them.
You know it's got to be good if a turn-based game made it this high.
It's
I didn't even play it, so I didn't vote it very high.
That's part of it. Is both of us played it
and beat it.
Yeah.
I didn't beat the first Octopath because I wasn't enthralled enough. This one got me enthralled enough because it improves it with the what are they called? The cross paths missions where you have two people. They're like Throne and Temenos are dealing with something in a side mission.
Now you're making me want to play it.
That's
what got me out of Octopath in the first place. Is that
they had all the pair ups, and that's the other thing I forgot to mention earlier. All of their paths are actually connected this time.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, something bad happened to you, and it might be because of this guy. Like, it's straight up just like, they're linked, and everybody gathers for a reason, and it's really interesting to watch everything play out.
Yeah. They heard everybody's complaints. Like, we got interactions, more than just, text blurbs, but we still have those.
Yeah.
We have...
Those were some of my favorite ones.
Some more enthralling characters. We have more enthralling plots. We have... This wasn't even a complaint, but they dialed it up in this one. The visuals, the HD 2D.
Oh, yeah.
Way better in this one somehow. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but, that big-ass lizard sprite from, Ochet's, opener, it was in the trailer. That's a big sprite, and it's moving so fluidly. It's so cool looking. Ochet is one of the best characters. But you could say that about any of these 8, and it would still be true. But also, one thing they dialed up, even though it was pretty good in the first one, but now it's phenomenal and was tugging at Sea of Stars for this award. But the soundtrack to Octopath 2 is fantastic. I'm probably... I'm going to be playing Particio's theme here because it is heroic and cool and jazzy and a detective, but he's not a detective, but it is awesome.
Jesus.
When Spider-Man 2 came out, I didn't sleep for 2 days. This game came out, and I just could not. I took all the time off I could, and I was like, I'm going into New York. I'm ready to web sling on everything, and that's exactly what I did.
Hell yeah, it's awesome.
It starts going from the get-go, and it doesn't really stop. Like, there was never, like, that big of a lull in, like, the plot, like, ramping up that wasn't supposed to be there. Like, you do have lulls, but that's just so, like, the characters can get caught off guard by shit going sideways.
Yeah, you gotta have that downtime a little bit to, like... It's good for you and good for them to process some bullshit that just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you just fought a sand kaiju. Maybe we can chill out for a little bit.
Yeah. But even then, they did do better with this game, too, with, like, showing the repercussions of what just happened. Like, Spider-Man 1 had that to some degree, but it was like, yeah, I just stopped the Rhino and Vulture. Okay, what's next? No one's really talking about it. But then, like, the city will get, like, a little bit worse or something. But in this one, you have Sandman. I mean, he's the big opening set piece, but, like, you stop him, and then the next few missions, actually throughout the entire game, this one section of New York is covered in sand. And they're constantly recovering from that Sandman attack. And, I mean, the whole time, like, it's wild. But the plot goes insanely crazy. Like, I loved it so much. And then the gameplay gets, like, way, like, more... Like, they took some stuff away, but focused more on other things. It was odd. Like, you didn't have as many web gadgets, but what you did have were all the ones you used in the first one. So they took the ones out that, like, no one really used, but then they focused more on the ones people did use.
I miss my landmine thing, though. I miss that so much.
But now you can create web lines to walk on and sneak up on people.
Oh my god, that made it so...
Man, yeah. I just found out you can do the slingshot on top of one of those, too.
What the...
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But that's leading into this award is Best Traversal, because I said it earlier, you really feel like Spider-Man.
Twice.
Actually, in some instances, you feel like Superman, because the web wings are basically flying. Like, it's very cool and fast. It's a good way to change it up, but not exclusively used. We talked about that in our powwow about it, but also the web slingshot is awesome. Like, that's one of my favorite things. Anytime Spider-Man does it, he's like, I gotta get somewhere fast. It just makes a slingshot. Like, it's awesome. And then, is that it for the combat? Like, web wings, slingshot, and then web swinging, of course.
Yeah, I think that's about it for the traversal and your tricks and all that.
Yeah, you have tricks now. You can solve a Rubik's Cube in midair. It's very awesome, very Spider-Man, and I would just go watch the powwow where we just talk about it again for an hour, because that's our typical thing. This is probably an hour too, but it was awesome. Go watch that if you want to see me and Scotty just non-stop gush about it. It's very interesting.
When Tears of the Kingdom came out, hell, before it came out, I figured it was going to be our game of the year. Breath of the Wild was a masterpiece, and Tears of the Kingdom took that, dialed everything up. There's not many things I think that Breath of the Wild does better than Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I kind of miss the elemental weapons, and now you can just make your own, but they don't look as cool. Yeah. Like, that's about it. But like some of the weapons look cooler. Tears of the Kingdom took what many consider to be a lot of people's favorite game of all time, but most people consider it to be one of the best games of all time, and dialed that thing up and made it even better with an insane crafting system, a really cool fusion system, the ability to swim through a mountain, and all kinds of shit like that. And that's why it's getting our Most Inventive award, because it took something...
It took a failed game from Banjo-Kazooie 3, and then they were like, we'll throw that in Zelda, we can do it. And they did it.
They could have easily gotten away with it, like, literally just being, like, basically just Breath of the Wild, but you get different powers and there's different locales. Like, they could have taken the depths in the sky and left it at that. But they didn't. They were like, hey, let's give them the ability to make a car or a helicopter or a jet or whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, you could just play Tears of the Kingdom without using Zonai devices. But, like, it would be so weird. Well, I don't even know if you could with the sky. Like, you have to do...
Yeah.
Maybe you could do something. I
It's
don't know.
probably possible.
But
I guarantee there's, like, low Zonai runs or
that
something.
is probably, like, one of the most fun things I did this year was not even playing Tears of the Kingdom, but talking about it with Aaron and Scotty, talking about our builds and what works and what doesn't work.
It was schoolyard bullshit again.
Yeah.
Where it was like, oh, you can do that? But it was like not lies, like Mew under the truck or anything. But it was just weird, crazy stuff that we did. And how did they hide the depths from us?
I know!
Yeah.
How did they hide
even
the
to mention.
depths?
Like, you'd think that would be... I mean, they didn't have many trailers. Like, they randomly came out with one and they were just like, hey, you can now super glue everything to everything. But, like...
Because that was the
depths stayed hidden the entire time.
The depths was the theory from the beginning because of the trailer, and then they were like, oh, it's in the sky, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then it was like, no, it's all of it.
And
there's 3 maps that are the same damn size, all on top of each other, except the Sky Islands are more sparse. But it's pretty much like 3 maps that are the same size.
If you had told me at any point that someone was going to make Breath of the Wild's map 2.5 times bigger, I would have thought you were a liar, and it's not even possible.
And even then, if I thought you were telling the truth, I would have thought it might get dull.
Right.
But it never did. Like, some people don't like the depths for some reason, but I love them.
That's 90% of what I did was charting the depths. Like, throwing light blooms anywhere I could.
It's spooky.
Shooting them.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is that's the only time I didn't like the depths was when I ran out of light blooms.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, I gotta teleport out of here. Or when
then you put on the light pants and you're just like, I can walk a little bit. But then the frogs are attracted to your pants. Probably the only time I'll say that ever, but...
But I mean, like, and again, I'll say it again, you can watch the powwow for more details, but like, Tears of the Kingdom took my top spot for my favorite game of all time, which I would have never predicted.
Not only that, but dethroned his top game and his top Zelda game.
Yeah, my top game was Chrono Trigger. As much shit as I was talking about turn-based games, my top game of all time was Chrono Trigger, and my second favorite game was Ocarina of Time. Boom, bump them both down. Tears of the Kingdom on top. Like, I said it when Breath of the Wild came out. I was like, if you take Breath of the Wild and you give me better dungeons, that's the best game ever made. And I was like, not lying, apparently.
Yeah, because the dungeons aren't even like fantastic dungeons.
They're just better.
Yeah.
They're better, but like it's serviceable.
Well, there's a couple like, this is a real Zelda dungeon moment.
There
like,
were a few,
Not the whole dungeon, but there's a few moments where it's like, this is a Zelda dungeon.
It definitely scratches the dungeon itch that you were missing from Breath of the Wild, but...
And it somewhat solves the durability issue. I didn't have a problem with the durability thing.
No,
I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I liked it.
But it somewhat solves it because you could just like put a horn on it or whatever.
I will say that's one thing though about this game I noticed. I don't know if y'all had it, but with the horns and stuff like that, well, I guess it doesn't really, because you gotta use the rusty ones for the base. But I don't know why. I was mainly short swords in this game, like for everything. Like that's all I used. So I don't know if it was just
I kind of was too.
Like I didn't have that many spears.
In Breath of the Wild, I was mostly like great swords and shit.
Yeah. Maybe there's just more short swords because they like work better with all the fused shit.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe that's it. And we touched on it a little bit ago, but the fusing. Oh my god! Like pretty much, if you can imagine it, you can almost certainly build it. Like. Even without all the crazy glitches people found, because some of that is just like, how?
Someone built a functioning Metal Gear Rex. I mean, I don't...
The fact that this game is literally being used at a university to teach engineering is like, wild.
Engineering and physics, right?
Yeah.
And they figured out they could play music with the spikes by hitting them with lasers.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
The community was one of the biggest parts of the crafting because Like, you think you're making cool stuff, and then you go on YouTube, and you're just like, oh,
I didn't make anything.
I am like,
someone made a Mecha Godzilla, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, how?
Like, a lot of the things I saw people making, I felt like my stuff was just like gluing popsicle sticks together.
It's wild how, like, crazy and different everybody's approach was to this game, and that's, again, why I want to talk about it one more time. It's the most inventive game because you literally invent vehicles, you invent solutions to every problem, like even more so than Breath of the Wild. And that was already ridiculous, but now it's dialed up all the way to like 14, way even past 11. And obviously, I think we've been talking like 5 minutes at this point, but that's why it's got to be Game of the Year for us.
Oh, 100%. Like
for a little bit, Spider-Man 2 took the spot for me, but that was just getting caught up in the hype. Like, that's easily second, but no, it's definitely Tears of the Kingdom across the board for all of us.
Yeah.
But that's been our top 10 games of 2023. Obviously, there were some we didn't put on here, like Alan Wake 2, as mentioned, Resident Evil 4 remake. I forgot that was even this year. There's a lot. Like, there's too many games this year.
I wanted to play Dredge. I wanted to play Dave the Diver. I just never got around to them.
Yeah. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll do a powwow about them.
There were a few games, like Cocoon was one that I played, but only I played it. And that's a very hard game to explain to other people to make it sound cool.
It really is.
It's just like, I don't know, you're a bug man solving puzzles with your planets. Like,
they're all worlds, and then you can put worlds in the worlds.
Worlds within worlds. That doesn't mean anything.
But it just doesn't quite have the same gravitas as the rest of these. That's why it ended up pretty low.
But what did you play this year? Let us know in the comments. We take those to heart. I really like hearing what y'all play because I've added several games to my backlog. I haven't gotten to yet. But like Iconoclast was suggested to me one year. I put that on my wish list and then bought it.
I still need to play Crosscode.
Crosscode. Like, there's a lot of really cool ones from y'all that you suggested. So get those suggestions on and popping of what you played in 2023. And be sure to stay tuned to Bro Trio for more content. We'll have our best moments coming up soon after this from 2023. And then capping it off with our best bosses of 2023. So stay tuned for those and what we're most looking forward to in 2024.